Welcome to the Field to the Deal podcast, Week 10 edition. Broncos versus the Chiefs this week. Broncos are 5-4. Will the Broncos shock the world and the Chiefs? I believe they're going to win 312 to 226. But we'll see what the fellas think about that. Number 20 CU's going to Texas Tech after they have a week off. Being ranked, is that a big deal? At least CU's not going to have to play in the snow. Nuggets have been hit with the injury bug. CJ's working on his jumper now too.
Gotta love it, baby.
He's going to play all three sports for us.
Got a nice jump shot.
He's going to be blocking pucks, then going hitting threes in the corner for us. CJ Anderson, future head coach. How you doing, sir?
I'm good, man. It's a good day.
Super Agent Peter Schaefer, Esquire, also known as snow driving expert, teacher extraordinaire. How you doing, sir?
Great. It's a great day to be here in Denver.
Absolutely.
Beautiful day.
And Scott McLuhan, participating of No Shave November. How you doing, sir?
Excellent. Life's good.
Excellent. So Broncos big game this weekend against the undefeated Chiefs. One of the big questions I had for you guys is the Chiefs are 8-0. Are they underrated 8-0, or are they like a for real 8-0, CJ? When you think of like past 8-0 teams, like I think it was was it the Eagles in 2022 went 8-0 and they ended up losing to the Chiefs in the Super Bowl, ironically, that year. Or is it a real 8-0, or is it like a facade 8-0?
Remember, we started off 7-0, 8-0 in 2015, and we was winning games like the Chiefs. We wasn't playing really well offensively. Our defense was dominating. I think we ended up losing our first game week 9 and week 10, but it's real. I mean, winning is real. Like this, it's not fake. It's not a fake 8-0. It's real, and it's how they're winning, right? Like once they get it together, fully be fine. But it's how they're winning. This is what championship teams do. They win close games. This is how you know they're a legit championship football team. And I've had this personal experience, so it's as real as it gets.
Scott, are they for real, or is this kind of just like they've won a lot of coin flip games and did they flip heads a lot of times in a row?
I don't think it's for real. A win's a win. I get it. They have not played well, and you're this far into the season, halfway through, and you're not playing well and dominating. I work for Tampa Bay, and they're a good team, not a great team, a good team. If they go over 2 points and get it, they beat them in KC. So they're not dominating like the teams I've been on that got Super Bowls and won. Not even close.
Peter,
I'll tell you this right now. Here's the deal. I've always felt this about the NFL. You got 32 teams. You got this symmetry. Groups of 4. And I always believed that there was always every year about 4 just really dominant teams, and then there were going to be 4 just god awful teams, and the other 24 are basically 8-8 teams that if they get a good bounce, a good call, a lack of injury, some type of luck, a pick six, they become 9-7. Or maybe you play in a weaker conference and now you're 10-6. So there are all these teams that one play can switch the variance of the season. Now I think that number is not 28. There might be 1 or 2 dominant teams, and there might be 1 or 2 god awful teams. But the other 28, they're right there, all at 500. They're all 8-8. Tampa's a great example. Denver, they go in there and they blow out Tampa. The Raiders go out and blow out the Ravens. The Ravens, put it up on the Bengals last night. I mean, anything can happen. The freaking Panthers have a god awful roster, and they've won 2 games now. So, and that's what the NFL wants, is this competitive balance where everybody is 8-8. And who knows what's going to happen on Sunday? Because and not only you better watch the first quarter, you better watch the fourth quarter, because like last night, things can happen. And then of course you throw the referees in.
Absolutely. CJ, I think I have a working theory with the Chiefs. I'm curious what you think about. I think it's the hot girl effect. Remember, like there's a hot girl at wherever you're at, and everybody wants to talk to her, but then they just get all flustered. They don't stick with their game plan. They're doing things they normally don't do to try to pick up a girl. and then it just doesn't work out because they're not sticking to what they're good at.
No idea what you're talking. Hot girl. We didn't get hot girls.
That's because we didn't stick to our game plan.
Maybe them two down there. Maybe them two did. I definitely did. I always stuck to the game plan.
I'm not talking about CJ. I'm not talking to CJ. I'm talking about Scott and I. We're just
we'll leave Peter and Scott out of this one here, CJ. We'll just talk between the two of us, CJ.
Rob, you don't understand, Rob. What Scott looked for in women when he was growing up, women with low standards.
Because that's all I could get. What's the matter?
If they had low standards, Scott thought he had a chance.
The man need a little loving.
Hey, you got to know your scouting report, right? And so, but what I'm saying is like, where teams are making decisions in the game that they normally wouldn't do if they weren't playing the Chiefs. They're playing the Chiefs, so they're going for it on 4th and 6, maybe when they normally wouldn't go. Kind of like what Sean Payton did against the Ravens. Is like he started making decisions to be aggressive when maybe he didn't need to be aggressive. He just needed points, not being aggressive. And our team's doing that where they're making maybe not the decisions they normally would if they were playing the Broncos, but because they're playing the Chiefs, they're making decisions based on that to sort of try to get more points that they think they need. CJ, am I off base here?
I think so. I mean, Scott just said like the season wasn't like, or 8-0 is not real. And I'm gonna read something off, right? I'm gonna read something off, and y'all tell me what y'all think, right? I'm gonna just give you these scores. Y'all really tell me what you think.
Before you get into it, CJ, let me ask you this: What about the Eagles? What about the Eagles last year? They're 8-1, right? What happened?
Agreed. I'm not saying just like 2 years ago, Kevin O'Connell was like 8-9-0, and they wasn't making it happen as well. Now the question is, right? Obviously, Eagles started 8-1 and then went on a skid. You see the Chiefs going on a skid? Listen to this, right? Week 1, 19-13. Week 2, 31-24. Week 3, 24-12. Week 4, 23-20. Week 5, 16-10. Week 6, 26-23. That's versus Cleveland, by the way. Week 7, 29. Or week 8, week 7, we had a bye. Week 9, 29-10. You got 2 blowouts in that whole first 9-game stretch before we lose back-to-back to Indy. Then we lose to, obviously, Kansas City after that. And then, obviously, Brock comes in. We win 6. And then, obviously, we went on to go win the Super Bowl. But if you look at our beginning year, we don't look like a winning Super Bowl football team. We don't look like and I say that to say that a good team finds a way to win outside of who they're supposed to be. We was winning games outside of Peyton Manning.
Well, but
the Chiefs are winning games outside of Patrick Mahomes.
No, they're not.
Scary.
Yeah,
but
they're still playing well on third down. They're still making things in the red zone. Don't get me twisted. They're the best team on third down. Top 2 team on third down. They were 75% on Monday night, and then obviously they were their top 2 or top 3 in the red zone this year. That helps you win games, but they're still turning the ball over, bro. They got over 10 turnovers in like 9 games. That's terrible.
You're telling me
it's the same thing Peter just said. It's one turnover. It's one play that can change the whole game. When you have that many close-scoring games, it's one turnover. It's one play. And all of a sudden, they're 500. Now, I get it. They're winning, and I respect it. You always want to win. You always want to, do what you can do. But still, when it's that close, when you're playing Tampa Bay at home in a night game, prime time, and you go to overtime, come on. Really?
Dude. We went to overtime with Cleveland the year we
Well,
won.
that's what I'm saying.
Cleveland. Cleveland's not even nowhere where they are now. We went to overtime with Cleveland.
No, I hear you.
In that day.
I'm not knocking Tampa at all whatsoever. The quarterback's playing well, but son of a bitch, they took him. All you got to do is go for 2. They win the game. All of a sudden, KC's not undefeated anymore.
And that's the decisions there where I'm thinking teams play either ultra conservative or change what they should do or make decisions that they normally wouldn't do against the Chiefs.
Well, no, he should have went for 2.
Exactly.
Lose.
Had no choice.
Had
no choice. On the road, you always go for 2. On the road, at home, it's different. On the road, you go for 2.
But here's my point on the going for two. It's like in lacrosse. If I need one goal, I've got to play that I know can score a goal. I can't. It won't work 20 times. And some of the plays that I see on these going for twos at the end of the game, I'm like, that's the play you're going to run?
I
They're all
mean,
thinking themselves.
A
They're all thinking
crossing pattern
themselves.
to a white tight end last night. That's the guy. We got Jamar Chase. He's caught how many passes for 200? How
They're
many
doubling
yards?
them, but I know they singled them. But you're thinking going into the line of scrimmage, they're going to double them, okay? And they're going
I know this.
Jaseski out. So
Joe don't make that throw inaccurate if you don't get hit in the face. Like, let's just be honest. Like,
correct.
you think Joe throws the ball that high? Bro had it. Like, that's a catch, big body back in the end zone. Game's over. Like, he threw it high because he got hit in the eye.
Correct.
He got hit in the face. Like, what are we talking about? No, I don't think. But to answer your question, Rob, I don't think. I think teams do what they do. I think the NFL over the last couple of years has been more aggressive. If anybody you want to blame Dan Campbell. Right, everybody's been way more aggressive because of him. Right, I mean the things that teams doing this year, Dan Campbell been doing, and he got crucified last year in the playoffs for doing that, not taking points and going for it against San Francisco, right, and not getting those fourth down calls that he was getting all year. He got crucified for that. So teams are doing that based on analytic base and those things, but I don't think teams are like switching up and changing the game.
I think
at the end of the day, what wins football games is can you sustain drives and can you score in the red zone? The Chiefs are the top in the league at that. It's going to win games always. Because of Patrick Mahomes. I never said, but it doesn't stop the fact that Patrick Mahomes is still has 8-9 interceptions in 9 games, and in fact the offense still has 11-12 turnovers in 9 games. They're just finding a way to overcome the turnovers. That's what championship teams do. That's all I'm trying to tell y'all. And I'm telling y'all from experience. We won the Super Bowl with Peyton Manning throwing 18 interceptions. 18! How do we win the Super Bowl with Peyton Manning throwing 18 interceptions? That's missing 6 games, by the way, too. 18 interceptions. You find a way to win outside of who your best player is. And that's what the Chiefs are doing in this.
The Ravens ain't in the game last night if Lamar Jackson doesn't do what Lamar Jackson. That's
a fact. The backwards run going down the sideline, that's crazy. Yeah, that's true. I'm not saying your stars don't show up in the right times, but also, right, you take the first Ravens game, right? Bengals have that game win until Joe does what? He threw the turnover that got the Ravens back in the game. What I'm trying to say is Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs, Travis Kelce, the fumble on Monday night, that can change the game if the other team capitalize on that. The problem is what Scott is saying, the other teams are not capitalizing on that. That's why they're 8-0. But a reason why that, though, on the other end, Scott, they're playing great on defense as well on third down in the red zone as well as why they holding those teams, is why they got their teams back. That is team football. You don't find that everywhere, so it's rare and it's fun to see.
It's awesome. There's a lot of equity in the NFL. There's a lot of parity in the NFL. But I'm just telling you, you've been on teams that you know are legit. I've been with teams that are legit. Been to Super Bowls, won them, all that stuff. You have an identity, and seldom do you not dominate. Seldom. I understand it's a long season. It's a marathon, not a sprint. But seldom do you not dominate. Going into the game. KC knows going into the game. Get to the fourth quarter.
Yeah, if we got a chance to win, it's over.
Yeah, well, no, it's going to be close. That's what I'm saying. But they have the confidence that, like, yeah, this is easy. Tampa Bay didn't have that. Baker does, but your whole team needs to have it. Your whole offense needs to have it. Your whole defense needs to have it. You got to understand.
Everybody, GM, everybody. You in the box saying, "I got no worry. My boy is going to get it done." Absolutely, and that's.
I'll never forget my first 4 years in the league. I was with Green Bay with Brett Favre. We'd be down 14 in the fourth quarter. And I said, this game's over. They're like, what, you lost? I'm like, no, we're going to win. You wait and see. And we would, just because you had that faith.
Yeah.
I mean, it was just
and the team gives you that.
So, Scott, how much faith do you have in the Broncos this week going to Kansas City and Arrowhead?
I bet it's a close game, honestly. I bet it's a close game. I really do. Now, again, like CJ's talking about, it's just the team. Have you been there and done it? Casey's been there and done it multiple times, and they expect to do it. Denver's hoping to do it, but I bet you Sean has a good game plan. I bet you Nix plays well. Now, they're going to mess with him a little bit, because Spagnuolo's got a really intelligent mind how to mess with young quarterbacks. But they're going to have to be able to run the ball. They're going to have to be able to run the ball.
CJ, when you've played on like Monday night games and you come back to play, it's kind of like a 1 day shorter week. Does that impact your recovery going into an early day game on Sunday?
Kind of. I mean, who would have ever thought, like, this is an 11 a.m. kickoff? I would have never thought that in my life. The Chiefs are having an 11 a.m. kickoff. Like, what? Like, we're the Chiefs. Why are we having an 11 a.m. kickoff? Like, usually when you play Monday night, the NFL does take care of you by giving you an afternoon game.
Yep.
Right. They take care of you by giving you a close game. So that's Kansas City.
They're not the Lions. They're not padding the schedule. They're not the Lions.
They usually give you a good afternoon game. So a little bit, but not as much. Not as much, but just a tad bit for sure. I mean, you gotta just speed up that process. Instead of getting 3 days of recovery, you got to find a way to recover in 2 or recover in 2.5 so you can play again next Sunday.
Well, and keep in mind that when they talk about rivalry games, and you talk about rivalry games in college football, Michigan, Ohio State, one of the reasons that the rivalry games in the NFL is because you play twice a year.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It would be a greater rivalry. If Michigan played Ohio State twice a year, home and away, you talk about a rivalry going to a new level. But when you were at Kansas City and you played Denver twice a year, and that's where the rivalries come, especially when you turn it around, sometimes play them twice in 3 or 4 weeks. And so that makes it huge. This is a rivalry game, and there are a bunch of great games this week in the NFL, and that's pretty cool.
So Scott, you think the game's going to be close? Peter, how close do you think the Broncos can keep? Do they have a boxer's chance in this game, or is it going to be more like the Ravens of last weekend?
Well, the Ravens run the ball a lot better than the Chiefs,
Mm-hmm.
and Patrick Mahomes, I think as great as Lamar Jackson is, Patrick Mahomes has to do more with the Chiefs because they just don't have the same talent. I mean, with Lamar Jackson at running back, oh my God, you talk about a 1-2 punch. That is a combination that we haven't seen before. That type of two just great power guys on the same team. Reminds you of when it was McNair, Eddie George.
Mm.
Yeah. Lamar and Derrick Henry, especially Lamar, like what makes Lamar dangerous, he can change the game in one play, whether that's his legs or the arm. Like he can go 60 with his legs and he can also throw it 60 with his arm.
Yep.
Right? You got to see that last night. Like he backs up, goes down the sideline. Patrick has that game change ability, but it's all going to be with the arm.
Yeah.
He'll change the field position with his legs, but he won't score.
He ain't going 60.
40-yard, 50-yard touchdowns on the ground with his legs.
No.
Scott, how much of the addition of Hopkins to Kansas City does that help their offense out?
I think quite a bit, especially in the red zone. I scouted 30 years now. He has the best hands I've ever seen in my life.
Catch radius is crazy.
It's phenomenal. In strength in his hands and quickness in his hands. And you get in the red zone, he's a bigger body guy. I mean, he's not thick, but he's a bigger body guy. In the radius, you still the ball up, 7 out of 10 times he's going to catch it.
He snagged that thing.
Yep.
Now, like if you're the Broncos, you're kind of like, really? You guys got him to add to your weapons too? Really?
Correct.
Really? That's what we have to now deal with?
But the game of football, what wins and lose football games still comes down simple. And the simple part of that is, right, Chiefs were 11 for 15 on third down on Monday. You can't have 15 third downs and give up 70%. That's a loss. Chiefs were 4 for 4 in the red zone. Another place on third down in the red zone too, but all touchdowns. That's 28 points. You cannot do that. Like, that's going to win games. Even on the other side of the ball, Chiefs are top 5 in getting off the field on third down. They're also top 5 of not letting teams score in the red zone. So, like, that's just what wins games. If you can sustain drives and put up touchdowns, you're going to win games. As much as the Chiefs is turning the ball over, offense probably not looking as efficient as we've seen it, they are top 2 in the league in those 2 categories on both sides of the ball. Yeah.
If you could score more than the other team, there's at least a 50-50 chance you're going to win the game.
Simple.
I don't know.
Hey, the thing is, too, I don't want to leave this out because I worked with him, and he's a really good person and a really good coach. Andy Reid, what he does is
my God,
pretty damn cool.
Bro, did you see the formation? He had the tight end and Kelsey. They both run it. Bro, the creativity is crazy. Even in the red zone with the high-low, like I'm like, this is what coaches are missing. This type of creativity.
Correct.
And he's in his 60s still creating.
So a question about like Reed and his creativity. I'm just like one of the things I see that dominate culture and organizations is playing it safe. Where Reed's got a track record, he can go do what he wants, and people aren't going to go like, "Why are you doing that?" He's like, "It's Andy Reid." Even if he fails, you're like, "Well, he's trying something." Everyone gives him the benefit of the doubt. CJ, your first OC job you get when you're coaching at Toledo, and they're going, "Why'd you build that play to build that way? It didn't look good on, it looked good on paper, it didn't execute well." It's like you have a lot to answer for. But when you're Andy Reid, no one questions you. Like, is there a balance of that in the NFL with coaches and OCs where it's like certain guys say like, "Well, I'm using Shanahan's playbook, so it'll work, it's fine." But if you start getting too creative around it, people are like, "Well, you're getting off the rails."
I just think you got to earn it. I mean, Andy's earned it. Andy's earned it with multiple different quarterbacks, multiple different systems, multiple different years, and now he's always been a winner. He just could never win the big one. And now he started winning the big one. Now it's like, whatever. You know what I'm saying? So, like, it's the same with Bill Belichick. Bill Belichick tries different pick stunts, and he got different 6-man up, 7-man up fronts. I'm pretty sure none of that was all really into the world or into the game. And people seeing Bill do it, and they're letting Bill slide because why? He's winning, right? So I think as long as you're winning, people don't really give a damn what you're doing.
Well, here's the deal, too, though. If you're losing and you're about to lose your job, shoot, you might as well pull everything out.
Might as well get creative, right?
Be creative, because otherwise you're going to be the smartest unemployed football coach there is.
Go down fighting. Go down
That's
fighting.
right.
It's me right
If
now.
I'm going down, I'm taking all the arrows out of my quiver. I can tell you that much right now. Now, the other thing, though, you talk about Hopkins. The interesting thing about the trade deadline, it was this past Tuesday, is when do you go in? And this is what I want to hear from Scott. Do you go in and because you're trading next year's draft capital or the year after's draft capital? You look what the Redskins did. They gave up 3 and a 6 for the corner. And what are we doing? Are we going all in to go 10-7 and be a first round knockout of the playoffs, or do you only go in because we think we have the team now? The Broncos did it in the late 90s when they went in and got Neil Smith and some other guys.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and got him a ring. But you go all in to go 10-7, and then you've given up future draft capital and salary capital.
Me being a very conservative GM, I have no problem with trades. I made tons of trades in my career, tons of trades. But you got to understand and identify your team and understand what you're losing going forward, especially nowadays, because they're investing so much money in quarterbacks, in certain positions that eat up half your cap almost. And you build through the sum of the parts, not the individual. Now I know when I was in Green Bay and it wasn't a trade, but we signed Reggie White in free agency, and he came in, then all of a sudden we went from a good team to a great team because we had Favre on one side, we had Reggie White on one side. We had a lot of other really good players, don't get me wrong, really good players. You remember this name, CJ, Dorsey Levens.
Ooh, big back. Love him too.
Yeah, he was
Love
cool
him
too.
too. Big back. But play too.
Yeah.
From Syracuse.
Is that where he's from?
I know he went to the Q's.
No.
He didn't go to Syracuse.
Oh, he's from Sid, like born and raised.
Upstate,
Oh, I didn't know he was
raised.
that.
Oh, yeah.
I didn't know that.
He drank the water out of the Tiafnoga River. Absolutely.
Peter trained him. But I'm just saying, Peter. From my standpoint, I wasn't a gambler. If I knew I had a really good team and I'm one player away, then sure, I'll definitely look into it. But if I'm 4 players away, no, it's not worth that draft. In my opinion, is so important to build young talent in a culture that you have to have it. You have to have it.
Speaking of the draft, we got CU playing this weekend with 2 potential top 5 picks at Texas Tech and Lubbock. At least it's probably warm down there.
Be warmer than what y'all was just describing.
Man.
Guarantee it is.
Man.
It can be warmer than what y'all just describing.
So CU's favored by 4 points, and with a few of the Big 12 losses last week, the door's open. They got to have some help for the Big 12 championship. Focusing on Texas Tech, CJ. Can CU go into Lubbock and pull off a big victory?
Have to. I mean, Texas Tech still riding their high horse too. Now they just knocked off, right? They just
Iowa
knocked off
State.
Iowa State.
State,
They,
that's
then
right.
they getting national prime, right? That's what we calling it because he's getting national everywhere he goes. National prime coming in. So I'm pretty sure it's not Troy Taylor. Troy Taylor's the other high school coach. I forgot the head coach over there at Texas Tech, Josh somebody. But he's a high school coach in Texas. That's how I know him.
Big
He
time.
was a high school Texas. Yeah, it was a big time high school coach in
Big
Texas.
time.
That's how I know him.
Yeah.
But he's gonna have his team ready to go and excited, and Prime gonna have his team ready to go and excited. It's gonna be a good game down there. I thought the game was at home. I didn't know it was at Texas Tech. It's gonna be a good game down there.
It's interesting, and it sort of parlays or overflows into that game is the way that they've gotten rid of the East and West and all the conferences, and it's the top two teams now they're going to play for. With the SEC, Big 10, Big 12. You've got 6 teams right now in the Big 10, Big 12, that the next 2 weeks are going to determine who's going to play in that final game.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that the reality is the 2 teams that do play in the final game will both play in the final 12. Will make the national championship.
Do you think the Big 12 is going to send 2?
Absolutely. They'll get 2. Unless there are a couple 3-loss teams. But if there are 2 teams, whether BYU stays undefeated and who knows, Iowa State keeps coming back. But this is a playoff game right this weekend for Texas Tech in Colorado. And then you look at the Big 10. Who would have had Indiana undefeated? You got Indiana, Oregon, Ohio State, Penn State, Iowa, Minnesota. I mean, all these teams right there. Whoever goes on the roll and wins the last 3 can make the Big 10 championship. SEC. Who's going to be in the SEC championship? It's not Alabama, Georgia like it always is.
Thing is, guys, I don't know if you've ever been there to a game. Lubbock, that's a tough place to play.
I ain't never been to Texas Tech.
You couldn't even find it on the map.
You don't want to.
No, it's a 10-hour drive from Houston. I know where it's at. I was in H, but I know I ain't like. I wasn't fired up to go to no Texas Tech game growing up.
Nah, but I'm telling you, that's a unique place. And the thing is, you gotta be careful. You got and CU's playing good. CU's playing good. You got your quarterback, you got your receiver. That helps out quite a bit. They're gonna be able to run the ball, but I'll tell you what, that Texas Tech going in their house, it's a buzzsaw now. It's not easy. It's not easy at all.
Yeah,
no,
and I only think only the Big 12 champions going to go. Right now, they're putting 4 Big 10 teams in the tournament.
Yeah, I'm with you, Rob.
I
think there's one Big 12 team. I think
and there's
I'm
2
sorry,
or
I
3.
gotta go to the restroom.
Depending how you think of Notre Dame as an ACC team or not. I know they're an independent, but they play 5-game ACC schedule.
Right.
Like they're gonna, if they get in, they're gonna kick out a team like a CU that's on the bubble or something like that. And I know they probably want CU in there, but they don't. I just don't see them unless they win the Big 12 title going in there.
Agreed.
With 2 losses.
If CU had 1 loss, their chances would be stronger.
Yeah,
absolutely.
If CU runs the table and goes and plays in the Big 12 championship, they will have a chance. Yeah,
they're going to need
not if they lose the Big 12 championship.
They're going to need some help. Like some other teams, like Penn State's got a pretty easy road ahead of them to finish strong. So does Indiana.
Penn State's in, right?
Yep. Right now.
Does Indiana get in 1 loss? It'd be interesting to see what that looks
Indiana
like.
Indiana doesn't have a loss. Where's their loss?
They're going to lose.
They play Ohio State in 2 weeks. I'm not saying they losing, but I'm saying if they have 1 loss, right? Whether they lose the Big Ten championship or whether they lose Ohio State before. If they have 1 loss, do they let a team like Indiana get in?
They're in. Indiana's in with 1 loss. Absolutely.
Okay, so that's 2 Big Ten teams. You got the Big Ten champion, which could be Oregon or whoever.
Yeah.
But Oregon's in regardless, win or lose. So that's 3 Big Ten teams there.
Like Ohio State and Oregon could play in the Big Ten championship, and they're both still going to be in. If that's
because you have 4 teams in the Big Ten that are in the top 8.
Yeah,
right. Rankings.
So you would think that's that. But then you also got to think, right? Like
you got Georgia, Texas,
Tennessee.
Tennessee.
Tennessee has 1 loss.
Alabama's sitting at 11 right now.
They would definitely let Alabama get in with 2 losses if Alabama runs the table.
Well, right, but they're going to start knocking each other. Alabama plays LSU. They're going to start knocking each other off. And I'll tell you the one thing, about the Big Ten and the SEC. Every week, they're no powder puffs in those.
It's games.
No,
it's a grind.
I mean,
it's the closest to the it's the closest but furthest way to the NFL that you can get.
you know, and that's why I think in scouting, when you're sitting in Scott's chair, and you're looking at linemen and whatever, that's why you're looking at offensive linemen from the Big Ten and the SEC, because every week in and out, they have to play at a high level. They can't just take a week off or whatever.
Well,
I mean,
you got to figure, Peter. Before I got on this call, I was watching an Oklahoma defensive lineman. I'm watching Texas, South Carolina, Auburn, and Tennessee. Think about that. And that's, 3/4 of the way through the season. Not even done yet with the roster, or with the schedule. And it's just, I'm watching talent versus talent, which is phenomenal.
Auburn got some talent. I don't know why they're not winning. Auburn got some D linemen.
No, they do. No, they do. And
I don't know how they're not winning. They got some talent, though.
Well, you watch Texas, you watch South Carolina. South Carolina's damn good.
Yeah, South Carolina got some. That D line is nice.
And they go 500.
Yeah, they not winning.
Season. You watch Tennessee. In Tennessee, they're in their 3 and 4 and 5 receiver sets, whatever. But they're throwing the ball all over the field. And so it's just like, imagine being the head coach, knowing each week, like we can't take a break.
Yeah.
We got to keep breathing. We got to keep rolling.
But that's what I tell.
You used to get that break with Vanderbilt. Now they playing well.
Correct.
Right, and that's what I tell these players. That everybody's like, I want to get in the Senior Bowl. I want to get drafted. Well, you got to stack weeks.
Oh yeah.
You got to stack weeks, because if you have a bad week, you never know. Like when you're a scout, like you are a scout, like you just said, you picked 3 games. These players don't know what 3 games you pick, and not every scout picks the same games.
Well, but the thing about it is, it's not just picking the games. It's just like, listen, you got to step to the plate, because either you're getting drafted or he's getting drafted.
Yeah,
that's right.
In these 3 games, I'm seeing somebody.
Yeah.
So are you that somebody?
100%. 100%. It's like, wow, and you see the speed and the athleticism. It's like, for a head coach, you can't take any time off.
Scott, do you value games later in the season here when you're watching college guys in film?
I evaluate the ones I like to watch are the best competition, but then I also understand injuries and stuff and like that are playing into it. Because I just watched a guy yesterday or last night that has had a bad ankle all year, and he's trying to play through it, and you can see him limping on tape. I give him credit for being a tough guy. I respect that. I want to be a football player. Totally respect that. But you cannot see him at his best.
Yeah.
So then all of a sudden you get to the end of the season, you got your report done, you got your grade set in, all that stuff. But what really is he? So are you thinking he's 60%, 70%, 80%? That's why you go back and view college history, talent-wise, and then see them as freshmen, sophomores, and juniors in college, which I always do. And it'll tell you something, because I've seen some really good players get drafted later than they should, end up being good NFL players because of injury their senior year or junior year or redshirt sophomore year when they came out. But it's I've already told you guys, it's not an exact science, but you can identify certain traits, like a guy playing through an injury. Should he be on the field? No. But you know what he is. So that tells you something right there, just from the standpoint of his character.
Scott, what would you do to a player who is late to a practice because there's a foot of snow? Would you double his fine?
I wouldn't.
Absolutely.
That's the head coach's job.
Foxy didn't play, baby. I love Faye. Shout out John Fox. My dog. He gave me my shot, but Foxy didn't play. He was military. He was a military style coach. Pete and Scott know that just from knowing him. He's a military style coach, and you're gonna tighten up.
He's a great guy.
He's fun to be around.
He'd fine you, and he wouldn't take it. I guarantee you.
He probably wouldn't have took it. But at that time, at 21-year-old rookie C.J. Anderson, I wasn't taking no chances.
No, I don't blame you.
So, CJ, you said, you grew up in California. Like, when you came out to Denver and they're like, hey, we're getting 2 feet of snow, were you just like, were you going to the dealership to go, like, how do I get a tank to get through this?
I at least talking to like teammates, and like I said, talking to Stools was everything. Like they were telling me, like status quo, like nothing, like outside of like scraping your driveway, scraping your car, right? Outside of that, They told you about the sand gonna be on the street, what color the sand was gonna be, all that stuff. And just no one told me how to drive in it. Pete had to tell me how to drive in it. But when you say like 2 feet of snow, I'm like, what is that?
Was that the storm? Was that the storm where a lot of you guys got locked in going to the airport?
Going to the airport. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I remember that.
But it's like, what is it? It's like, because you think of 2 feet of snow, your mind is like, all right, it's 2 feet. Like if I was standing in a 2 feet swimming pool, you get what I'm trying to say? Like I can walk through that, no problem. So you don't really know it until you see it. Then you're like, oh, that's 2 feet, but that ain't really 2 feet. Right?
I don't care about the driving in the snow. I think there's nothing better than a great snow tackle football game. I don't care if it's the NFL, college, or even the Turkey Bowl. You put a foot of snow on the field and play. I wouldn't want to watch it every week. I wouldn't want to watch it every week, but it is fun to watch once in a while.
Played 3 snow games, won them all, played well in all of them, and didn't like any of them.
Well,
Pete talking about getting tackled in the snow. That ain't fun.
Yeah. But
it's fun to watch. It's fun to watch, CJ.
Yeah, the thing about you, CJ, that was cool about it is that you had a really good base. And you had lower body strength.
Yeah.
And you could survive in rain and snow. You know, some backs can't.
Yeah, I never really slipped. I definitely watch. You got to wear the right shoes. So shout out to the equipment guys. And then obviously you got to make sure your fundamentals is great. Like staying within that base, cutting off the correct foot.
You
got to be able to do that. But Pete talking about it being fun. Pete wasn't getting tackled. By Vince Wilfork, by the way.
They don't have the right shoes anymore. Remember back in the day, CJ, we had 7 studs.
7 studs, yeah.
7 stud cleats. And you had the drill. You could change out the studs.
Yeah.
I remember Detroit, when they would go play Green Bay, they had 1-inch studs on them.
Yeah, I heard that the league took away the stud cleats.
Yeah.
They can't even do them no more.
Right.
So how you supposed to stick into the ground if I can't play in 7 stud cleats? Like what? I need those. That was like heels for men.
But now you guys changed your cleats. Back then they would actually have the equipment guys.
Yeah, you got the holes in your cleats, and you just take the studs and
they had like the NASCAR pit guys.
right.
And they're switching out. Yeah, in between series.
Yeah, I used to just put my foot up. And
what kind of drill did they use for that? I'm looking for a new drill. Like that's got to be a good drill.
That's a Black and Decker.
Okay.
What you need, Rob? What you need is just good athletes. You get good athletes, you're going to win more than you lose.
You know what? That's like if you score more, you got a better chance of winning than losing.
Correct.
So,
hey, Peter, let me ask you this about the agent letter. I don't know if you can talk about it or not.
The agent letter.
The one you sent me yesterday.
Which one?
Well, here I can't pull it up, so I'll turn this thing off. It's about it's something controversial.
What did I send you yesterday?
Pete, you sent a lot of stuff. You don't know what you sent to Scott? You didn't send me the agent letter.
I didn't get it.
You sent me what was going on.
No, it's what's it about?
Termination.
No. It's about Lordy. I've been doing too much work.
But why are you thinking about that, Scott? I do got a question for you though.
Go ahead.
So you said if a kid was like 60% or 70%, you can see him limping on tape.
Yep.
Do you ever take the fact that your doctors might be better than theirs?
Yeah.
That's why like I kind of know what he is, but I know if he was with our doctors, he would be better.
Oh, that's an interesting thought.
Yeah, well, the thing about it is,
and nothing against these doctors at the college level. I'm not saying
no.
Obviously, we're talking about the NFL here, right?
Yeah.
Right? Like obviously, the doctors at Alabama are different than the doctors at Cal, but the doctors at the Niners or the Seahawks are way different than the doctors at Alabama.
Yeah, the thing about it is just from the evaluation process. You'll see a guy spatted on his left ankle in one game. The next game he's not. Then the next game he is. So you get the coach and say, like, what's up with the ankle?
Right.
And nowadays, and it's changed probably the last 10 to 15 years, is where the trainers won't tell you the truth because they're starting to get sued, come back at them.
Oh, interesting.
Wow, I didn't know that.
Yeah, no, it happened to CU. Yeah.
Is that a HIPAA thing or is
Oh,
that
yeah. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Peter can answer more about it, but yeah,
That's
no.
crazy.
So they're just like, like I had a trainer
Hey.
that I really trusted. And I'm like, what's going on with him? And he says, just watch this game, watch this play, and see what happens afterwards. But he wouldn't tell me what the injury was.
Yeah, protecting himself.
They have
Also
to.
giving information. I never knew
Yes.
that. That's crazy.
Oh, yeah. No. When I first started, 30 years ago in the league, they tell you everything.
Yeah, they didn't care.
They tell you about his parents being hurt.
No. Tell them the truth though. It wouldn't go down like that. It'd go down like this. Like Scott would be, up at Cal, scouting CJ, and go in the running back room and hey, tell me about CJ. And the coach would say, hey Scott, close the door.
It's just you, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anytime the coach tells the scout to close the door, then you're getting the real scoop.
Pat down.
Hey Scott, jump in the pool before we talk, right?
You want to know? You want to know about this kid? All right, let's go.
Yeah. Well, and the thing is, it's from a personnel standpoint. When you're a scout and you're on the road, you want to know if they are healthy or not healthy.
Right.
Because it affects the grade.
Absolutely.
I mean, if all of a sudden guy's got a high ankle sprain and he's trying to play through it, and he's like, well, what's wrong with him? Why is, he's not cutting, he's not running, then all of a sudden you leave there thinking that's the grade you're going to give him. The next thing you know, he gets in the league and all of a sudden he's rocking and rolling, and so that's the guy I remember seeing as a junior, as a sophomore. Why was he that way as a senior?
Mm-hmm.
And because he was hurt.
And it used to be, and it's not as prevalent now, but it used to be when there wasn't as many pro days and stuff, that the good scouts, I remember I represented a guy named James Hasty, and Washington State, played, Pro Bowl corner. And he was hurt his whole senior year, like Scott's saying, ankle, goes to the combine, runs a 4.55, and it was this scout, Marv Sunderland. And he's like, son of a buck, I watched his junior tape. This guy's a better player. He went and ran him the week before the draft, got a 4.42 or something on him, goes to the Jets, say, we need to take this guy because this is really his time. And sure enough, that's what he was. But the whole senior year, he was dealing with ankles and he sucked it up and he toughened it out. And that's the type of player he was. But also that the 40 time wasn't legit. And all these scouts, Scott's saying, didn't have an accurate really assessment on him because of what he was dealing with.
Yeah, that's tough. That's tough.
Yeah.
Well, and the thing about it, guys, is the fact that a lot of these scouts aren't experienced scouts. They're not saying they're not going to be good when it's said and done, but they don't know any better. They just see the tape.
Yeah, they're not flipping over every stone. They're just covering it, but not truly digging into it if they see. Yeah.
But you say that, though, but I'm going to tell you right now, these scouts, when they go to school and you go to, whether it's Alabama or something, and they give you a list of 16 guys, and you got to scout 16 guys at Alabama in 3 days, sitting in a film room. I mean, just going crazy. You got to have to be able to really do it right. It's not as easy as it sounds.
I will say this about scouts. When I was at Rice, you had some teams. I won't name some teams. You had some teams where the scout felt like he was bigger than the job, and then you had some teams who the scout knew his role, loved his job, did it. And you could tell that, some scouts I knew. So, hey, CJ, what's up? I scouted you. It was good. Some scouts I didn't know, but when you talk to them, you are you highly entitled? I played in the league. I'm not trying to say that we need to be on the same level, but you highly entitled. I'm trying to give you some players that I know that can play. You got to go scout them. You don't even want to scout them. What are we doing?
Yep. So. Yep. No, you're 100% right. You're 100% right. And I started young, and I was one of those young bucks and thought I knew everything and knew nothing about nothing, and then I started learning. And then all of a sudden you see the younger scouts come in and they're like, he can't play. I'm like, you watch 5 plays, dude.
Right.
You shit me.
Right.
Well,
hey, Scott,
we got 4 games left.
Here's a true story. So Scott's dad, one of the great scouts of all time, 40 whatever years with the Raiders, he would judge a scout. The number one criteria for Ken McClellan to tell you whether a scout was good or not was, did he get to school before 7 a.m.? If he didn't get to school before 7 a.m.,
True.
Horrible scout. Horrible
I
scout.
said that in recruiting. I said the same in recruiting. If you get there early enough, man, because you get the whole feel, and you get to see seeing how kids come in and start their day. Or if you get there, like in Texas, because they work out in the morning before school, if you get there before the workouts and see how they're prepared for the workouts, they're not drowsy, not sleepy, you know you're recruiting a good kid. So it's the same.
But
Scott, you know how I know if a player is going to be a good player?
If he scores touchdowns.
If you look at his rating on Madden, I'm like, that's a good player right there.
No. Hey,
That's what-
hey, the thing you sent me was the letter about the eligibility for the Senior Bowl.
Oh, right. All right. So what they're doing is, back in the day when CJ came out, you could only be a senior. Senior Bowl.
Correct.
Now they're letting third-year
They're
juniors in.
letting juniors in.
Yeah, and it's not just Senior Bowl; it's East-West Shrine Game. And because we used to fight, with Steve Hale, who was the director of Senior Bowl back then, like, hey, this guy he might be a junior, but he graduated. If he graduates, does that make him a senior? Is he senior eligibility-wise, senior football-wise? Then you have the COVID years. There's a whole bunch of stuff. So that, what I sent Scott was the new eligibility rules for the All-Star games. And we've always argued that if a junior's coming out, why would you prejudice him or hurt him by not letting him play?
Yeah, why are you stopping a lot of them playing the game? Question is this though. Like, basketball, you can declare for the draft, but go back if you don't get an agent. If you're a junior and you got invited to the Senior Bowl, you went and realized you're not that good and you want to go back to college, you can't do that.
See, but in my opinion, it's a change. It's a change. They should allow the kids to sniff around, put their feet in the water, and see what happens. And if all of a sudden they realize I'm going to be a fourth rounder, which they have a committee, and I was on it for many years, where the league office would send out names, and we would, a lot of teams would just give it to the young scouts, let them do, which I don't agree with at all. I'd always do all of them. And then you'll send in a grade, and they'll get like 5 grades from 5 different teams.
Yeah.
And then they'll tell the kid what round supposedly he's going in.
Projected he can be in. Yeah, I think for the young kids, if obviously if you young and you good, that's a whole different conversation.
Certainly.
But if you young and you like on the edge, I wouldn't mind testing the waters. Like, I didn't come out my junior year, but I had 12 touchdowns my junior year, but I didn't come out because I'm like, CJ, I got to be better.
You're missing a lot of the and this is why this podcast is from the deal, the field to the deal. You're missing a lot of the business aspects. So in basketball, you're talking maybe 5 or 6 guys, but in college, with the college signings, the teams want to know who's going to be on the team. So they don't want to have, if your star running back's going to go through a whole draft process from January, signing day, what's it, first week of February, you have February, March, April, May, and all of a sudden he comes back. You don't know if you're replacing him. There's.
No. I mean, obviously, obviously the Senior Bowl and the Combine is well before the draft process. Now it's after signing day for sure, but
then you
should be able to go through the Senior Bowl and know
But colleges will never let you do that. If that's and the ultimate power that the colleges have is if the NFL doesn't play ball with them, they shut them out and they don't give them the film. They don't let them visit, and so the colleges will say no because they got scholarships. Because are you going to hold a scholarship for this kid?
Correct.
Correct. So it's nothing to do with what's best for the kids. It's usually what the business of it. The business of it, right?
That makes sense.
Yeah, no, that's an interesting way to think about it on that. So going back to college football and CU and Coach Prime, they're favored by 4 points. What's it, like a 62.5 point over under?
Sheesh.
What are you guys thinking? Like, what's the game going to look like? Are we going to come out like with the victory and ease, or are we going to be adding some to our blood pressure medication?
Blood pressure medication. Texas Tech will throw the living crud out of the football.
Really?
Oh yeah, and they got athletes now. They got athletes.
And they got a running back, and they're going to go no huddle, and they're going to go tempo.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
So Travis may get like 150 snaps.
Possibly.
It might be his highest snap count of the year for sure.
Yeah, no. And the thing about it too, I don't know what the weather's going to be like. This time of year it could be either way, good, bad, or indifferent. I have no idea. But if it's warm, it's going to be humid, and these boys from CU, they better be ready because Texas Tech's going to go after them bigger than life. Now
it's going to be loud too, boy.
Yeah, and not saying CU can't win. No, I was at the game. I don't know if you guys know the story.
64 and sunny.
That's a good day in Tech and Lubbock. Is it windy? Is it windy? Is it windy?
How much?
It's windy
How much snow?
today. It's windy today, but it's supposed to be nice tomorrow.
How much snow is that out there then in Math? Can carry the
there's
Not 2 feet. We know that.
I was at a game at Lubbock, and their mascot was a horse, and the guy rode on the horse. Okay. And do you know the story, CJ?
I've heard of it. I don't know if I know the details of it, but I think I know where you're going.
He took off running and not making fun of animal abuse or anything. The damn horse ran into the cement wall.
Okay, I want to make sure. Yep, I do. I heard. I seen that. I ain't gonna say I heard it. I seen it on a
yeah.
Snippet.
It was sad. Don't get me wrong.
It was sad, but that shit was funny.
Oh lordy.
Speaking of horses running into walls, final predictions for the Broncos. Are we running into a wall, or are we going to pull up? Are we just upping our blood pressure medication all weekend? Uh-oh.
You're playing a good team that knows how to win. I'll just say that. But I'm telling you, I bet you Denver gives them a good fight. Very good fight.
Here's my prediction: if the score is low, the Broncos have a chance. If it gets into a track meet, it could get ugly early.
Like 22 or under, is that where you would say the low score is?
Yeah, if they're 2200, they have a chance. If it's a game like last night, the track meet Broncos aren't going to win.
CJ saying 22. I must have been 22. CJ must have been the numbers.
You know why I'm holding this up?
Good, because of Super Bowl.
Nah, this is the last time the Broncos has beaten the Chiefs in Kansas City. 2015.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Well, let me try to figure out. And what year was Mahomes drafted?
So all I'm saying is, good luck, Denver. I agree with Pete though. If it's low, it can go either way. But if the Chiefs go in and do what they're supposed to do, I ain't gonna say it's gonna be like last week, like 41-10, but it'll be another.
But I'm telling you, CJ, we went in there. Not we. Tampa Bay went in there with our top 3 receivers done.
Hurt. That's true. But Baker Mayfield is far more polished than Bo Nix. Right?
Yeah, but I'm telling you, Bo's pretty solid now.
I didn't say he wasn't.
Yeah, he's pretty solid.
Is he developing the way is he Bo developing the way you'd want as a rookie quarterback? Like, are you happy with the progress chart halfway through the year?
Me?
Yeah.
Yes. And the thing about it is Sean's really good with young quarterbacks. Really good with young quarterbacks. You know, I mean, he's the type of coach, and his coaches he has with him adjust to put players to be successful, not their system, but adjust the system to the players. And I think for a young quarterback, I know he's 25. I know he's played the most college games in NFL history or college history, whatever.
Dr. Bo Nix.
Yeah, but still, he's a rookie. You know, and CJ can tell you that's a tough place to play now.
Boy,
tough.
Outside of Seattle, top 3 places, top 4, I would say. New England in their days, because you're always gonna get something in New England, whether it's the fire alarm at the hotel or they got some shit going on,
or the
way
weather,
to the stadium, or the weather. So I got to put New England in there. Seattle, it's the loudest place on the planet. I ain't gonna lie to you. Like I know what they be hollering, Texas A&M, 12 million, 100,000. Yeah, y'all go get some Seahawk fans. No close. No chance. Right? Number 3 is New Orleans. It's loud in New Orleans when they rocking.
I've been there.
Obviously Kansas City, right? There's no order in that, but those are the top 4 places that was tough for me to play. Yeah. Like, it's always loud. It's always rocking. Something's always going on.
Well, and the thing that's unique about that, as you're well aware, and Peter's well aware, and Rob, I'm sure you might be aware of it, but
we had a really raucous junior high basketball game the other night.
when you get a young quarterback and you want the line of scrimmage, you want an audible, they don't understand. Yeah, it's got to all be hand signals. Yeah. So now your mind's going from reading the defense to trying to get the signal out before the play clock runs out. You know, so your mind's in different spots all the time. Now, if you're a veteran, it don't matter to them. They just walk
in some case, like what Scott's talking about, like Peyton in these high loud places. The difference between like a Peyton and Trevor Siemian, and I'm not trying to doubt Trevor, but Trevor will like hand signals, but try to scream the audible to the line of scrimmage. It's too loud. Peyton's going down to every lineman like this, telling them to play because it's hella loud, making sure everybody hears the play. I'm not just standing in my spot, taking a step up, screaming, Scott. No, I'm going to Pete, Scott. I might say it 5 times, telling it to
But
5
sometimes
people.
too. But Peyton also is looking at the clock, the shot or the play clock, scene 15, and he's just screwing people too.
Oh yeah, he's laughing
Sometimes
about
he
it.
ain't changing the play. He's like,
He ain't changing
CJ,
nothing.
we ain't changing the play.
Yeah,
we ain't changing the play.
Yeah, he just in the motion, but it's so loud. Like those places are so loud, and Kansas City is one of them. And
Well, I'm just saying.
I said this to somebody. You know, Troy, my man Troy Rennick, who writes for Denver Post, because they did a column. I said I was like, bro, Kansas City was loud when we played them, and they were competitive. I can imagine what the stadium's like now, and they're winning. I can imagine what it's like, and they're winning.
Yeah. Well, I'm just saying for Bo Nix, and you guys are well aware how I said, but it's going to be tough for him. That's a tough place to play.
Yeah, that's a different environment. He ain't played in this environment. It's going to be different.
Correct. The fans aren't as liquored up at noon as they would be at 4 o'clock.
4 o'clock.
Oh, yeah, they are. Yeah, they are. Don't worry.
Only thing that saves some of these young quarterbacks, they never had to play in Oakland.
Well,
we love Oakland games.
The black hole, baby. The black hole.
We only have like 2 minutes left. So the one thing I want to say is there are some really good NFL games this weekend too.
Yes.
Last week I said there weren't a lot, but I mean there's some games other than the Broncos and Chiefs. You got the 49 and the Buccaneers.
It's a good one. Well, C-Mac coming back.
Yep, supposed to.
Eagles, Cowboys.
Hey, Cowboys. I'll tell you this, CJ. Frank says he's not right.
I texted him and said I got somebody for him. He don't never really not dodge my text messages. I don't know what's going on, but we'll see. But Frank, I trust Frank. If Frank say that, I definitely trust.
Well, and as you're well aware, Frank. There's no BS in this game. He's like he's not right. He's not right. He said he can barely run. I'm like, really?
That's tough. That's
tough.
The last thing you want to do
the last thing you want to do is pop an Achilles.
If he pop an Achilles, then he's gonna be out next year as well. Yep. Yeah, but you're right, Pete. Got Steelers and the Commanders. That's gonna be
the one I'm looking forward to right there.
That's gonna be a good one.
Russell Wilson versus Daniels.
I guarantee you at the beginning of the year, you would never have said, I'm looking forward to the Steelers
and
Commanders.
Never.
Nah. And you got the Lions and the Texans.
Oh, yeah.
Sunday night.
Yeah.
Big time football down there in Houston.
Hey, CJ, who you got for the Miami-Georgia Tech game on Saturday?
I will hope y'all take care of business.
Okay, thank you.
If y'all don't take care of business, I'm going to be disappointed in y'all.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
Miami,
guys.
Miami 100%.
Thank you.
100%.
Hey guys, just quick rapid thoughts here. Nuggets beat the Oklahoma City Thunder with the Young Bucks playing. Are we feeling better about the Nuggets?
That's a good win.
That's a great win.
Big win.
Thunder, nice.
Yeah.
Hey, what about the Avs come back and win one?
Didn't they lose last night?
I thought they won.
They lost to the Jets 1-0, but that's the best team in hockey, the highest scoring team. Gave up 1 goal, with the struggling goalie. Yeah, we're good.
CJ, I don't know hockey.
Is that what's called a moral victory, Peter?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Especially
did they drop the gloves, Peter? That's all I want to know.
Right. That's what I go to the games for. Fight. I'm banging on the glass. Fight.
As I say when I coach hockey. As I say when I coach hockey, down by 4, start a war.
Start a war. I love it.
All right, I'm glad we were see y'all next time.
Hey guys, it was fun.
Oh yeah, my final thoughts, man. Hey, if you ain't doing nothing around, 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific, 6 p.m. Mountain, Cal versus Wake Forest. Just go check it out. Right, Friday football. Why not? Cal play Wake Forest tonight.
Hey, and also you get on the other one of your 7 screens there. Duke and Army are playing basketball. Oh
yeah, you gotta watch. You gotta watch Flag, right? Cooper boy.
What about North Carolina? What time's the Cal game?
5 p.m. my time, 6 p.m. your time. ACC Network.
Hey Rob, what about North Carolina, Kansas?
That's a good one at 5
That's a
o'clock
good
on
one too. That's a
ESPN
good
two
one on
tonight.
ESPN2 tonight. That's a good
I'm
one.
not used to the good games starting by now, and you know what?
Well, you know
I'm
you get the
taking-
Big Ten ACC Classic, so
Do they
It's-
still
that's
have
usually in a couple weeks though. Before
Yeah,
they
that's good stuff.
Yeah.
Scott, my son says Mount St. Mary's versus University of Maryland, his school versus Maryland tonight at College Park.
Is that basketball or lacrosse?
Basketball, yeah.
Oh boy. Oh boy. We might be in a little trouble.
It's basketball season.
The Mount take it on the Turtles.
Hey, tell Gavin go for support, but it's gonna be a 20-point blowout.
At least.
All right,
All right,
guys.
fellas.
It's
We'll
been
see ya.
fun. See you.
Peace, fellas.